Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. First tonight, NBL heavyweight Larry Kesselman has denied any conflict of interest between the Jack Jumpers and the state government. His comments come as the opposition continues to probe Peter Gutwein about Jane Howlett's involvement in funding deals while she was Minister for Sport.
Stepping out for her first appearance as Minister for Women, Madeleine Ogilvie learned the tricks of the trade to get more females into construction.
We know we can do it, we know we can do more.
The Liberal MP backed comments made by her colleague in question time this morning after Jackie Petrusma accused Labor of smearing Jane Howlett's reputation.
What they are doing is committing the worst act of violence, abuse and harassment against a member of the upstairs Parliament.
It was another heated day in Parliament as Peter Gutwein defended his embattled former Sport Minister and allegations Jane Howlett had a perceived conflict of interest while funding was signed off for the Jack Jumpers.
Was the additional expenditure, which was apparently expressly ruled out in the original agreement, approved by Cabinet?
Matters associated with the contracts for the development of my state arena were signed off by me on advice from State Growth.
Peter Gutwein wouldn't say if Jane Howlett declared a conflict of interest during Cabinet deliberations due to rumours she had a close personal relationship with the CEO of the Jack Jumpers.
Ms Howlett has denied the rumours and the allegations, Mr Speaker.
Commenting on the allegations for the first time, Larry Kesselman and Simon Brookhouse have denied any conflict of interest, adding additional funding for the My State Bank Arena upgrades, and the sponsorship agreement between the state government and Jack Jumpers was overseen by the Department of State Growth, not Sport and Recreation. Labor will continue to push for an independent inquiry when Parliament returns tomorrow. Ainsley Kosh, 7 Tasmania News.
The Greens are calling for mask rules to be introduced in schools for children under 12, with more than 1,600 primary students currently at home with the virus. Under existing COVID guidelines, masks are only required for secondary students.
One of the major areas of transmission is in primary schools where there are no masks and inadequate ventilation.
Meanwhile, the Royal Hobart Hospital has eased its COVID-19 management escalation plan. Tasmania recorded 1,051 new infections overnight. 4 people are receiving treatment in ICU. A grieving mother whose son died in the Hillcrest jumping castle disaster says she feels forgotten about. Georgie GARDAM's son, Zane Mellor, was one of 6 children killed. She says she's yet to see a cent of the money raised for the victims' families.
Every day is as unbearable as the last since Georgie GARDAM lost her son Zane Mellor in December. She can't face going back to her cake baking business.
I'm so traumatised from that day. I don't ever want to bake a cake ever again, a celebration cake. Zane loved my cakes and I know he'd want me to, but I can barely get out of bed some days.
Only hours after the jumping castle incident at Hillcrest Primary School, local woman Zoe Smith created a GoFundMe page leading to a staggering $1.4 million being raised.
I do have faith that GoFundMe will come to us. I truly do. Zoe did that out of the kindness of her heart and I'm truly thankful for that because that's a lot of money she raised. But when other people stepped in, it got really messy.
Within days, a community public fund had been set up in its place by the Devonport City Council, the state government and My State Bank to handle community donations. But Georgie says from day one, she and the other grieving families haven't been consulted.
I'm really hurt that we don't know where good-hearted people's money is going to be distributed. No one is on the committee from my family or the other families to say where this money will go.
The government failed to answer where the $500,000 from the community fund will go and when, instead saying in a statement late this afternoon, the fund was set up to support the families, the school and the local community. A committee was set up to distribute the funds. And while nothing will bring her boy back, Georgie says the money will help her family get through each day.
We are thankful and we are grateful beyond words. The food, the hampers that come to the door, the community got us through this. They truly did.
LETITIA WALLACE, 7 Tasmania News.
Chanting was heard throughout Hobart CBD today as local groups, unions and community members called for gender equality. Marking International Women's Day, the crowd demanded change within workplaces to keep women financially and physically safe.
We know that women around the country are more likely to be on low pay, more likely to be in insecure work, more likely to face violence and harassment at work, retire with half the super that men do.
Because I'm over celebrating basic rights like equal pay or getting the vote from decades ago, when we still know how unsafe and unequal our workplaces are.
Unions Tasmania also says the gender pay gap between Tasmanian men and women is more than 9%. Tasmania's peak business body is calling for COVID restrictions to be eased. The Tasmanian Chamber of Commerce and Industry wants to see check-ins scrapped and masks only required for high-risk settings like hospitals and aged care homes.
It is very confusing. I don't think anyone truly knows exactly where they're supposed to wear a mask or not. And again, the same with check-in. Why do you need to check in to go into a pub but not check in to go to an aged care centre? It doesn't make any sense.
The organisation also believes isolation requirements for those with COVID and close contacts should be reduced. After months out at sea, an American crew has arrived in Hobart for a much-needed rest. The US Coast Guard cutter Polar Star docking last night after completing a successful mission in Antarctica.
Cruising through the icy south, this ship crushing through the white, leaving behind a blue path. Leaving Seattle in November for Antarctica, this US Coast Guard cutter finally arriving in Hobart on a pretty bumpy ride.
As we crossed the Southern Ocean, we encountered some pretty furious storms. Winds up to 45, 50 knots, seas 25, 30 feet. It was a challenging transit. The crew was holding on, just hoping to make it to Hobart.
Completing its 25th journey to Antarctica, supporting Operation Deep Freeze, an annual joint military service mission. The Polar Star breaking through kilometres of ice for other ships to deliver food and supplies to research hubs.
That resupply mission lets them sustain a year-round presence on the Antarctic continent, carrying out that science that's really making groundbreaking discoveries at the South Pole.
That mission completed. The crew of 135 now enjoying some respite in Tasmania's capital.
We value Australia as a partner for the Coast Guard and the US Antarctic program because this is a gateway for us. It's a wonderful opportunity for us to pull in and give the crew some time off to experience the Australian hospitality and culture.
The US Coast Guard has docked into Hobart every season for the past 20 years, but hasn't visited since December 2019 due to COVID.
We're glad to be back in the Southern Hemisphere.
The crew will stay in Hobart for 5 days before departing for San Diego. COMMANE, 7 Tasmania News.
Wine enthusiasts will get the chance to put their knowledge to the test at this year's Tasmanian Wine Festival. The event will feature new masterclass sessions, giving visitors a taste of some of Tassie's finest drops.
We've selected some wines from some of the producers we like to work with in at Willing Brothers, and then I'm going to be pairing that up with food that's available at the festival.
People who are coming, they might not be wine buffs, or they might not, have an extensive knowledge of Tasmanian wines and some of the uniquer wines that we make. So this is a great opportunity for them.
The 3-day festival gets underway on March 18. The state's energy giants are working as one to bring gender equality into local workplaces. They're teaming up with Dress for Success on International Women's Day to help vulnerable Tasmanians into employment.
Piecing through the tools to success, the Empower Our campaign, launching with the theme Break the Bias.
Our programs cover everything from writing their resume, helping them with job applications and preparing for interview, right through to dressing for interview.
However, the initiative is more than just clothing. Dress for Success volunteers working to upskill struggling women by providing opportunities for financial stability.
We are here to try and give women every chance that they have to get into work the amount of hours that they want and be able to secure economic security for the future.
The organisation seeing a spike in female unemployment as COVID took its toll. 3 local energy companies working as one to lend a hand.
It's so wonderful to see Empower Hour raising the profile of some of these issues on International Women's Day.
We've provided $50,000 in corporate support to Dress for Success since its inception, and our people have been donating all morning to Empower Hour.
But they admit the playing field is still a long way from equal.
We know that there is still work to do in various jobs and careers in our industry.
Dress for Success opened its Hobart office in 2019 and has helped more than 250 women. The Empower Hour campaign aims to encourage those already comfortable in a workplace to donate.
The average person works 2,000 hours a year, and we're asking for one of those hours to make a real transformative difference for a life of a woman in your community.
The fundraiser will be open all of March, aiming to hit a $25,000 national target. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmanians wanting to help out during the flood crisis can make a special type of donation flow. Lifeblood is calling for emergency blood supplies as donor centres in New South Wales are swamped by torrential rain.
In Lismore, the donor centre is nearly underwater. What Lifeblood needs instead is an inundation of blood supplies.
We're looking at around a 3,000 donation shortfall.
So Tasmanians are being called to take up arms. Answering the call, Launceston's Jeff Leach, a Navy veteran and a blood bank veteran. He's donated more than 250 times since his days as a serviceman.
1970, we were up in Singapore and they were desperate for blood, so I started donating.
And he's still going.
If my little contribution goes towards helping the situation, well and done.
7 donor centres have been hit by the floods, and with Sydney making up a fifth of the country's supplies, Lifeblood is bracing for a tough road ahead.
We're going to be needing a few extra hands on deck, or arms in our case, to help us out.
COVID has only compounded the shortage of blood, with some donors shying away from rolling up their sleeve.
At one point, I think we had around 100,000 of our donors unable to give at any given point.
A fight on many fronts in the battle to save lives. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News. Tasmania has missed out on a spot in the One Day Cup final after Western Australia thrashed Victoria by 6 wickets. WA will face New South Wales in the decider, despite the Blues winning 1 less game than the Tigers and having 4 of their last 6 matches washed out. Launceston's Hugh Mackay has been unbeatable at Cambridge Park, winning 8 from 8 races in the Tasmanian Motocross Championship. He also had the fastest lap of the day as he easily claimed victory in the Pro Open and Pro Light classes. Seaton Broomhall finished second in the Opens, Alex Williams runner-up in the Lights, while Holly Jeeves took out the ladies class. The New Zealand Breakers' miserable run in Tasmania continued overnight. They were down 12 points to 1 early on against the Brisbane Bullets, and despite a lukewarm comeback by the Kiwis, the Bullets put the contest away in the third to win 92-74. Tasmanian Tanner Krebs hit 3 points for Brisbane. Meanwhile, Burnie's Taron Armstrong has cemented his place in college basketball history, becoming his school's first Freshman of the Year in its conference. Armstrong has averaged just under 11 points per game for California Baptist University after moving to the US from the Northwest Thunder. He's also the competition's only freshman to average more than 10 points, 6 assists and 5 rebounds per game this year.
Good evening. Smithton in the headlines tonight, making our top of 23 degrees. Hobart 17 today, Launceston and Devonport 21 and Burnie 22. Average temperatures over the west, but up to 5 below normal elsewhere. Lowhead 21, Bushy Park and Flinders Island 20, King Island and Friendly Beaches 19, St Helens and Strawn 18 degrees. Some cloud today brought a few scattered showers. Areas of clear sky over the central north, northwest and south coast. That low cloud also over southern coastal mainland areas. A low produced the swirling cloud off New South Wales, convective cloud with the troughs over the nation's north. Tomorrow, the high only slowly moves eastwards, maintaining the ridge over the state. A low deepens to the northeast. That trough up north persists as well. Winds south-southeasterly reaching 30 knots off the northeast, however variable over the south, swells to 4 metres in western and southern waters. A strong wind warning has been issued in the far northeast from Cape Portland to east of Flinders Island. Forecast for tomorrow: Hobart, partly cloudy and 19. Same for Geefston. Bothwell, partly cloudy, 17 the top after a cool evening. Launceston, 22, partly cloudy, bit of sun over Devonport, 21 the top and 20 the high for Cressy. Burnie expecting 20 and partly cloudy. Sunny for Strawn, 21, 20 the top for Curry on King Island, while St Helens tomorrow, 18. Cloudy for Swansea, 18, 18 also for Orford. UV drops to a high 7 tomorrow. The next 3 days are going to be very similar. Thursday, partly cloudy with a very slight chance of a shower over the east, south and west. Mostly fine but partly cloudy on Friday. 40% chance of a shower for Geefston. And on Saturday, partly cloudy and fine. Temperatures in the low to mid-20s. Mostly sunny in Perth tomorrow. Cloud clearing from Adelaide. Windy in Melbourne. Showers forecast for Sydney. A possible storm over Brisbane and Darwin. Partly cloudy and down to 14 in Hobart, cloudy in Launceston, 17 at the moment and mostly cloudy and 19 in Devonport. And just looking outside now, Kim, it's getting darker earlier and it's darker longer in the morning. Autumn is taking hold. Won't be long before winter joins us. Just remind me too, I better get the dust off the heat pumps. We must have them all checked before winter starts.
And that is a very sensible comment. Thank you very much, Peter Murphy. Well, that wraps up tonight's bulletin. As always, thanks for joining us. For now, good night.